We got an NLDS to break down and preview. Let's get to it. We are here despite all of the ups and downs and the craziness and the turmoil of the year, the injuries. We are actually here breaking down an NLDS preview, which is kind of crazy. Lots of energy. I'm very excited about this year's playoffs. I feel like we can make a deep run. But first, you got to get through a tough Milwaukee team. What's up, Ant? The Brewers are a weird team. On paper, especially offensively, they're not a 95-win team that they are. But obviously, Cubs down here, Pirates are never good. Reds didn't have the same amount of expectations, especially the second half of the year. They kind of trailed off. And so they definitely benefited from a poor division. It's similar to the Braves. They just won more. I mean, they're definitely a good team. Yeah, for sure. Definitely looking to split. And if you check out the article that I wrote on Georgia's Sports Hospitality and Media, the writing side of FILA, I did say that you should split. Likely you're winning game 2, though, because game 1 coming from batting practice, and you're going to be straight into a likely top 5, if not top 3, Cy Young vote getter in Corbin Burns, who's going to be starting game 1. It's going to be difficult to go from like batting practice to that and adjust fast. So might as well talk about Burns a little bit. Best starter pitcher on the Brewers, without a doubt, in my opinion. Maybe not the best pitcher, though, because there is Hader in the bullpen. And he had the best year of his career. He's only had like 4 years or something, so it's not too difficult to be the best of 4 years. And even though his average doesn't jump out, or his record doesn't jump out at 11-5, he doesn't get as much run support. But he had an amazing ERA at 2.43. He actually led the league in starters in ERA at 2.43. He also led the league in ERA plus, which is an advanced metric that produces an ERA number that adjusts to the ballpark that the pitcher pitches in. At 176, which is crazy good. He also led the league in FIP, a stat that measures a pitcher's effectiveness at limiting a batter getting on base without putting the ball in play, and then not letting the batter put the ball in play with striking him out and stuff, at 1.63, and then home runs allowed per 9, strikeouts per 9, and strikeouts per walk. He leads the league in all those categories. Great mode. The MLB show this year was so fun. Love the what is it, March to October mode? Great mode. Wish 2K had something like that. It'd be so fun. Yeah, definitely 1-1 back at Truist, just like we want. And Burns is incredibly difficult because although he's a high velocity pitcher, he throws a lot of his cutter is his main pitch 52% of the time. While mixing off speeds with like curves, changes, sinkers, and sliders with the about 46% of the time. And the other 2 is a 4-seamer. And with someone that has highest velocity, you don't really expect that. And so it is kind of crazy how he doesn't throw his fastball as much, but definitely something to look for, and especially in the postseason. Oftentimes, starters can rely back on being able to throw a good fastball, and so I would expect to see, if he does only get 1 or 2 starts or whatever in the postseason. Hopefully, only 1, because we only got to face him once. I would expect him to throw more than 2% fastballs. And then the next pitcher they would throw out there for game 2 would be probably Brandon Woodruff. He actually has a losing record at 9-10, which is crazy because he pitched a career best 2.56 ERA to go along with career bests in starts, innings pitched, strikeouts, ERA plus, FIP, WHIP, and hits per 9. And then his level of pitching, despite last year his struggles in the postseason, which I mean, you're playing against the Dodgers, of course, your pitching is going to struggle and not be as good as it is. In the postseason, he holds a 2.57 ERA and a really, really good for, especially for a starter, 0.81 WHIP, which is crazy good for a starter. Really good even for like a bullpen pitcher. And so he definitely is one of those guys where when the money is on the line and the postseason is happening, Woodruff raises his game. He improves so much. And I think this is going to be one of the most difficult things about facing the Brewers this year is the fact that one of the most difficult things about facing the Brewers pitchers this year is because their starters all throw different amounts of stuff. For example, Woodruff never throws a cutter. Well, Burns throws a cutter 52% of the time, and he heavily relies on his four-seamer and sinker 33% and 27% of the time, respectively. And so going from a person who never throws a fastball, who heavily throws cutters, and then the next day going right into that four-seamer sinker pitcher who also throws a mixture of off-speed in there, it's going to be hard to adapt. Yeah, I think so. If we win one in Milwaukee, especially one of the first 2 games, obviously you win Game 5 in Milwaukee and you win the series. But you win one in the first 2 series, I think you feel really, really good about where you are. Even though I felt the same way about the Cardinals series in 2019. We saw how that worked out. But Woodruff is no slack either. In the third arm, Freddie Peralta also had a career. The Brewers, their whole pitching staff pretty much had careers, it felt. Even though this year I think we're actually better away than we are at home, even though in the postseason we play significantly better at home, it feels like, compared to away games. But this year was a different story. And then Freddie Peralta, he's the third arm in the Brewers rotation. Just another crazy good arm. Yeah, exactly. Morton and Max differ a lot. Anderson will definitely bring in a different style of pitching, which is great. And the Brewers have a significantly worse lineup, which I will get to eventually. But once again, I did write, I said something like, you have the benefit of throwing just 3 just as quality arms in the series, while also being able to face a considerably worse lineup. And that's the great thing about this matchup is that you're going to throw Anderson, Morton, and Fried, and they're all spectacular. And I would take them head to head over the Brewers. They can stack up perfectly well with the Brewers starters. But our offense is just so much deeper with so much more power. Yeah, exactly. In the postseason, you have to protect the crib. It doesn't matter what sport. You have to make sure that you are winning your home games. Most important part of the playoffs, honestly, is making sure you win your home games. Because there's that saying, the series doesn't start until the away team wins a game. And it's funny because in some series, especially recently, it feels like, not specifically Braves related, but like the Clippers Mavericks series, like the away team won every single game until the 7th game. And so it's kind of weird how that works out. And it's like the series doesn't start till the home team wins a game. Momentum definitely plays a factor. I mean, I would say part of the reason the record is so poor in the last 16 games is because they've had that division clinched for almost a month now. And we've had to obviously we've had to keep continuing and playing because the Phillies were right on our tails, and we just didn't play well enough earlier in the season like the Brewers did to have the advantage of that. And I did talk about that a couple of shows ago, I think the fact that we had to keep competing so late into the season this year compared to previous years, I think it will definitely pay off because nobody really had the ability to go into, oh, here's a week of baseball that does not matter. It was only one series that didn't matter, and everybody still played hard. And so I think that would be a huge asset for the Braves in the series, is that everybody's been playing and keeping up and doing their thing. And the Brewers really haven't. They've been poor. Then since August 1st, the trio of starters, as I mentioned, Burns, Peralta, and Woodruff, their ERA has gone down, and they've made 27 starts, and their ERA has gone down to 3.28, which still is a very, very good ERA. Yeah, we did win 2 of the games in the Mets series too, which is important to note. We did not just say, oh yeah, we don't care about these games. We still won, and Will Smith even pitched the final game, which is kind of crazy that you're using your main starter in the last game of the season, or your main closer in the last game of the season. But who knows? But yeah, exactly. Back to my point, is that if there was one weakness in this Brewers team, it's the fact that, or especially in the Brewers starters, it's that since August 1st, they've struggled relatively, albeit 3.28 ERAs in their 27 combined starts since August 1st, which 3.28 ERA is still really good, but going from 2.43 and 2.56 and 2.81 to 3.28 is a very big drop off. And since that same date, Max Fried, Morton, and Anderson have made 29 starts and had a 2.35 ERA, which just shows you how much we are much more in the swing of things as a starting pitching staff, and I think that could pay off to be a huge advantage. I think both offenses struggle game one. Now, who knows? It could turn into some wild game where everyone just wants to score as much as possible, because that seems to happen when I think a game is going to be a very close, not high-scoring game. But I think both offenses will definitely struggle game one, because you go from a week of batting practice into having to face Charlie Morton and Corbin Burns. Yeah, and then a Hauser would be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised, depending on whoever is down 2-1 if we play the game 4. I wouldn't be surprised to see them have to play Burns or Morton on short rest to see if you can win that. But yeah, that would be a good matchup, and especially if Inoa can find some sort of rhythm. I feel like so much recently, like every inning he's giving up a hit, and there's runners getting on base, and he can't ever find like a solid rhythm. So it would definitely be interesting to see if he could find that in a playoff setting. He was able to find that in the playoff setting last year against the Dodgers. But the Brewers bullpen it doesn't get much easier than the starters. Josh Hader, obviously the big name there, probably the best closer in baseball this year, I would say, and also will be getting Cy Young votes, and probably should win the Cy Young, but there's so much controversy about a bullpen arm winning Cy Young compared to a starter. So he should probably win it. He's been phenomenal this year. He has a 1.23 ERA, a crazy 15.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. And yet his crazy stat is the fact that he's a 3.48 ERA plus. The MLB average for that stat, by the way, is an even 100. So to have a 3.48 ERA plus is absolutely insanely good. That's Jacob deGrom, first month of the season type of stat that he does that. But yeah, losing Williams is huge because I don't remember the exact numbers, but I read a stat that the Brewers bullpen has a 4 F4 this year or something. Hader makes up 2.8 of it, and then Williams makes up 1.4 of it. And so the rest of the bullpen has a negative F4, which is kind of wild because you look at them and Brent Sutter, Brad Boxberger, Hunter Strickland, the three of them really have not pitched poorly at all. But it's going to be interesting, though. I think getting to the bullpen early would be important because you don't want to you want to limit the amount of at bats you have to see, especially against Burns and Woodruff. And then definitely, I would say Peralta too, just because even though not as much to the extreme, because Peralta likes to use the fastball so much. So 52% of the time he throws a four-seamer. And so I think the Braves could take advantage of that and jump on all over him. But you're obviously not sure because the Braves get in that first swing happy mode. But obviously Williams is a huge loss. We know all about losing Inoue to an accident, like punching a wall or whatever. Except Inoue was not intoxicated during his situation; he was just upset. But it's just that Burns, Woodruff, Peralta, Hauser goes 6-7 every game. Yeah, exactly. They do go deep into games, and that's what makes them such a good foursome of pitchers, is that they have the ability to go deep and still be great when they go deep into games. Because some pitchers, once they hit that third time through the lineup, I mean, for every pitcher, third time through the lineup, every time you go through the lineup, it just gets your stats get slightly worse. And when you hit that third time, oftentimes the stats skyrocket. But especially Burns just has the ability to continuously shut down lineups, even the third time through the order. And it's going to be important, especially for players like Albies, Rosario, Soler, who love jumping on first pitches. Make sure you do take some pitches, because you need to get their pitch count up, because otherwise you're not going to stand a chance. If Burns is throwing 7 innings and then you have to go against Hunter Strickland and then against Josh Hader, you're not going to get very many opportunities to score, because you're facing off against 3 top 25 arms in the National League. And so it's just important to make sure you take enough pitches, but don't get into that place where you settle for it, because part of the reason the Braves offense is so explosive is because you jump on first pitches. You go and you attack the pitchers, you get them, and you hit those home runs in a row, and it feels like it hurts so much more. And so, yeah, holding Yelich to a 0 average would be great this year. Yeah, and then we make it past the Brewers. We'll face LA, a team who apparently loves sending the Braves home early. Yeah, having to face the Dodgers would not be ideal. The Cardinals were really, I think, our best option. I'm not sure how well built the Giants are for the postseason. They're all so much. They have the oldest average starting lineup in the league. Brandon Belter. I'm not sure if Belt is going to miss that much time. I'm not too updated on the Giants' whole situation, but it would be nice to see the Giants eliminate them, because I would feel infinitely better about our chance against the Giants than the Dodgers. The Dodgers is so incredibly deep, and we don't know if Muncy will be back or not for the NLDS, but almost certain he'll be back for the NLCS. And so that would just make the lineup even that deeper. And then, yeah, they really do love to make us hurt, because I went to Game 4 of the 18 NLDS, or 18 NLDS, when they sent us home that year. And it was really like a whole vibe of happy to get here. But then obviously last year it was brutal, and we should not have lost that and gone home as early as we did. But it would be nice, though, if you do match up with them again and you win, because then you have your whole revenge, get back at them. How about this, though? Get home field. We would get home field against LA, and obviously last year there was no home field or anything. But it would definitely be interesting to have home field over LA and start games 1, 2, 5, and 7 here. But does the MLB still do that 1, 2, 6, 7 system? I don't, whatever. Still, having 4 games at home in the series over the Dodgers would be infinitely better, because no one likes playing at LA is so difficult to play at, and the Dodgers are already a good enough team. Yeah, and then the Giants, 100%, we could be. They're old. They can slow down slightly in the postseason. We've seen old teams slow down in the postseason before. Would not be a shocker. If we have Acuna and Soroka, we rout the Dodgers. Yeah, if we have Acuna and Soroka, I would feel so much better chances. You have 4 high-quality pitchers than, say, you don't have to ever throw someone on short rest. And then obviously Acuna, you then have whoever, would it be Rosario or Peterson or whoever starts, would be Soler, Duval, and Acuna out in the outfield. And that offense is just crazy because you could do Acuna, Soler, Freeman, Riley, Albies, and that lineup is crazy good. Doesn't matter if Muncy isn't back. They got, yeah, exactly. The fact that you can have Cody Bellinger coming off your bench as a substitute, it just shows you how good you are. Also shows you how bad of a year Bellinger was having. The fact that MVP candidate, and I think he won in whatever 19 it was. The fact that he's now coming off a bench, crazy. Oh, it is 1, 2, 6, 7. I hate that because you come back home. There's a way you can come back home down 3-2, and the NBA way is so much better. Being able to come back home as the home team down 3-2 is crazy. Yeah, no, it was like that in the 90s because Chipper writes about it. His biography talking about the 96 NLCS against the Cardinals, about how they came back. They were almost eliminated and outscored the Cardinals like 32-2 over the last 2 games of that series. But yeah, I hate that because it just feels like it disadvantages the higher seed as much as you want to have an advantage. But the clear advantage, obviously, that the Braves hold in the series is offensively. The Brewers scored the 12th most runs in MLB this season, and they batted .233, which was 27th in the MLB. Batting average, incredibly overrated, but still, it just shows you how they were not great at hitting. Obviously, the biggest name in their lineup, Christian Yelich, former MVP, should have been 2-time. He probably should have won in 19. He had better year than 18. But this year he hit a .248 batting average, .362 on base percentage with a .736 OPS. All those numbers almost 300. His OPS almost 300 points down from the 1,000 it was in his MVP campaign, and almost 400 from his 1,100 it was in his 19 campaign. Yeah, it's baseball. They don't switch stuff. I don't know. It's weird how baseball operates, especially under Manfred. But who knows? And maybe there might be a DH in the NL next year. Who would have thought that would have happened? And so Yelich is obviously the biggest name in the lineup, but he's had a horrible year. They're most experienced. I would say their most experienced, veteranized postseason player is Jackie Bradley Jr., who's also having a horrible year. He's hitting 163 and has a negative WAR this season. And so it would be interesting to see playing time-wise just because he's got the playoff experience, but who really knows? Good luck with your MLB The Show postseason thing. And then outside of that, Colton Wong is their leadoff hitter. It's important to note the leadoff hitter hit .272, .335 on base percentage, and .783 OPS. None of those numbers really stand out very much. They're very Dansby Swanson-esque, just slightly more power. Career high 14 home runs of the season. So his slugging percentage is mostly coming from his doubles and triples that he hits. And then another important note of the Brewers lineup is that their catcher they change depending on whether we would throw a lefty or a righty. Against righties, they played Omar Narvaez, I believe is how you pronounce it, who was an All-Star this year, hit .266 with a .743 OPS. And then lefties, they sent down Manny Pena, but I have no idea why they switched because this year he's hitting .189 with a .732 OPS and a below .300 on base percentage. So not very good at all. And then outside of Yelich in the outfield, you do have Avisail Garcia. Once again, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. If it comes to it, I'm not scared of the Rays. We would raid their stadium. Yeah, the Tyron brings this up whenever we talk about the Rays stadium, but there's more signage for New York's what I can't think of it, spring training team down in Tampa than there is for the Rays stadium, which is always funny because you're a team that's been one of the best teams of the last decade, and you don't have a good stadium and signage. And then the outfielders outside of Yelich, Avisail Garcia, and then probably Lorenzo Can, but that comes back to the whole will Jackie Bradley Jr. play because he's obviously been really bad this season, but he does have playoff experience. He's won a World Series. He was ALCS MVP in 2018, and so it would be interesting to see what they do go with. I wonder if they maybe play handedness of the players. Oh yeah, if they were in Tampa, tickets are probably I would say almost certainly cheaper than Truist tickets. Might have to take a road trip down there. And then so Garcia hit 262 this season with an 820 OPS, which I think might be the highest on the team actually, which is crazy than 820 OPS is the highest on the team. Even though I don't even know what the highest OPS on the Braves is, but and then Kane hit 257 with a 729 OPS. Interesting to note that everyone on the Brewers doesn't really have a crazy high batting average or OPS. I don't know how they won as many games as they did because they just don't hit well. They have low batting average. It's not like they slug a super high percentage. And it's not like they get on base a crazy part of the time. Like I think 362 might be their highest on base percentage, which is 362 is a pretty good on base percentage. I'll say, but it's crazy how they won 95 games. 'Cause I don't know how they did it because you know, especially nowadays, you have to score runs, and the Brewers don't. Obviously, 12 runs scored. Oh no, poster fell down. Pain. But what was I gonna say? Stupid poster distracted me. I think obviously they win because they're pitching, and so just making sure you make their pitches work, and what? Oh, thank you for trying to help me. Yeah, gotta just apply that and get it up there. I have my fan on the last couple of nights because it's been slightly warm, which is weird. And then I can gone to the game all year because of the pandemic. But if we get to the World Series, I'm going. Yeah, World Series tickets would be so fun. The only postseason game I've been to was a Division Series game, which we lost, and so going to a World Series game, especially one that you win, would be absolutely crazy. Let's see, what is there? The thing is, though, according to Baseball Reference, I love Baseball Reference's Pythagorean win-loss percentage. Like it shows you like how good of a team you are expected to be. The Brewers are only expected to be 0.002% win percentage better than the Braves. They only scored 738 runs. The Braves comparatively scored 790. But the key, obviously, is that they only gave up 623. And so you're able to win a lot of games when you're not giving up too many runs. Burns, obviously, just so important for that team. Been to 8 of them. We won 2. Not a great, not a great whatever ratio of wins to losses. What was the most recent one you went to? Did you go to one of the ones in, what is that? Was that Austin? Where were the playoffs last year? Did you go to one of those games? Both in 2010 versus San Francisco. 2012 wild card. That is not a good one to go to. Both in 2013 versus LA. Was that 18, and all three in 19. Oh, so you were there for 10, right? How about you stop going to Braves games, okay? It seems like every time you go, there's something bad happening. You got Chipper Jones's last wild card game. You got, why am I blanking on his name? Craig Kimbrell being left in the bullpen. You've got 10-run first. I would stop going to Braves playoff games if I were you. Maybe you're the curse, not Atlanta. But yeah, ultimately, I would think that I'm not speaking biasly, because obviously there will be some bias. I assume that the Braves will win the series. I think they're just the better team, especially post trade deadline. They've been better, and their offense is just so incredibly deep. And I'll take Fried, Morton, and Anderson going toe to toe with anybody, anywhere, any place, anytime. We got Braves season tickets. No can do. Oh well. You have the first Braves playoff shutout, 35 years. I'm not sure that outweighs the 5 other atrocities I listed. But where was I? Yeah, I think the Braves will win the series. I wouldn't be surprised if it did go the full 5, simply because of the fact that the Brewers are a good team, pitching wise, especially. They're crazy talented pitching, and they have a mixture of high quality flamethrowers with good off-speed guys, and it will be difficult to hit. I wouldn't be surprised. Lots of like 3-2, 4-5 games, like nothing, not really anywhere where an offensive explosion happens like there were earlier in the season. The Brewers scored there was like a 10-9 game, there was like a 9-7 game, and the Brewers-Braves matchups earlier this year. But there was also like 2-1 games or whatever, 3-1 games. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all to have low-scoring games that ultimately the Braves offense just has to do more than score 2 runs or 3 runs. Because let me tell you, the bullpen, although more consistent since the trade deadline, is not good enough to match up with the ability of the Brewers and their staff. Win games 1, 2, and 4. I would say 2, 3, and 4 are probably more likely of a scenario. I don't think you win both in Milwaukee, especially with Burns. Burns is just crazy. I don't know. But obviously Hader's not unhittable. We saw Freeman hit a walk-off against him. Was that this year? Gosh, I can't struggling to keep up with what year stuff happening. We saw Freeman hit a walk-off against Hader this year. And so obviously we know they aren't completely unhittable. We saw the Braves make an attempted 8-run rally in that one game in Milwaukee that ultimately fell short. Yeah, obviously winning game 1 is the most important outside of winning game 7 and 5, or whichever one is the last game of the series. But that was 19? No. I swear he walked one out. I swear there was one recently. Okay, that's weird. But yes, game 1 is the most important game of the series until you get to the closeout game, in my opinion. Except the 7-game series, I think game 5 is a really important one, especially when it's tied 2-2. But I struggled to find a way. I think Morton's going to pitch great. I have faith in Morton. He's obviously been there and done that before. I think there's an ESPN stat where Morton became the first pitcher to win a game 7 of both the championship series and the World Series in the same year, when he did it in 17 with the Astros. Wow, that was a long time ago. And so I think I have full faith in Morton to go out there and shove. It just comes down to, do I have full faith in the bullpen to do that? And do I have complete faith in the offense to come alive enough against a very tough, very, very tough pitcher? He got the save. Maybe it was to make the final out of Game 7 and Game of both. That might be it. Yeah, Morton steps up in the postseason. Like last year with the Rays, he was so important. Obviously, you saw with the Astros. He comes back to what I was saying about Brandon Woodruff. He is one of those who raises his abilities in the postseason in October. Something about that October weather it gets to him, and he pitches better. Maybe you get a slightly better grip on your off speed stuff when it's just only 70 degrees instead of 90 all the time. But yeah, I thought, off Braves topic now, but I thought the Astros today were incredibly impressive. 6-1 win, and to see that, I don't think how many people picked the White Sox to win the series. I think a lot of people see the White Sox as kind of the Braves in 18, where they're a good team, but they're probably not as good as a good enough team to win a series against a very high quality and experienced championship caliber team. Pitching with Morton right now, though, through 1 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 hit, a homer. Ooh, can't be giving up homers. Come on. 1 2/3, that means you're getting a strikeout every at bat that you're getting out. So that's a pretty good pace. Braves White Sox postseason. Yeah. The fact that Tony La Russa is still the manager there is wild. Me and my friend were actually talking about that today. The fact, like, they're obviously a good team. They won 93 games, I believe, this year. But the fact that Tony La Russa is still there is absolutely crazy, because he just does not fit the vibe of that team at all. But he's still the manager there, despite his old grumpiness and his outlandish takes against bat flips, which I'm surprised he didn't pop a blood vessel when Tim Anderson hit his walk-off in the Field of Dreams game. The way he took 20 walking steps out of that batter's box. Surprised that didn't go way, way south. Yeah, the White. I assume you're talking about the White Sox. The White Sox definitely found like in midway through summer, definitely found came together. I forgot, because they do those mid-game interviews with managers in the postseason. It's just so weird. Like 2 nights ago during the Red Sox Yankees game, they're interviewing whoever the Yankees manager is. I can't remember his name. It's like Boone or something, right? They're interviewing him right after Cole came out of the game in the third inning. They're like, why did Cole come out? And it's like, he's not going to say anything because it's in the middle of a playoff game. He's not caring about the questions you're asking. It's just funny how they do that. Yeah, Aaron Boone. Thanks. And so it's just funny how they do those mid-game interviews, especially in a wild card game. Like, that's wild. It's a win or go home game. And you're having managers put on headsets and ask you questions as the game is going on. I would not be able to keep my composure if I was a manager. There's a reason I don't manage MLB teams outside of my age. But from that Astros White Sox game, extremely impressed with the Astros. Obviously, can't say too many nice things about the Astros because they did cheat a lot, and so I hope they do lose at some point in the playoffs. But they were impressive today, and I hope the White Sox can get their stuff together, because the White Sox are a fun team, and I think they will get better next year and continue to improve, much like the Braves do. But I don't think they're ready to win a series yet. I think the Astros do win that series. And then what's the score of the other game that's going on? That's Red Sox Rays. I thought I saw the Rays were winning like 4-0. 5-0 now. The Rays are crazy good. Randy Arozarena. I don't know how Randy Arozarena, like, October happens, boom, he goes from being normal Randy Arozarena to becoming Reggie Jackson and being Mr. October. Uh, I'd love them to see them beat LA again if they get the chance. Yeah, that would be hilarious if they beat LA again without cheating, though, because then all those Dodger fans that said the ring doesn't count, their comments are now void because they just beat you without cheating, straight up. And you're spending $300 million, wasting 40 of it on Trevor Bauer, but who cares? You notice FS1 went to commercial. Yeah. Well, I also saw they went to commercial like in the middle of like an actual play, like uh, someone hit it like a rollover, and before the out was even put out, they went to commercial, which is weird that a big oh, there we go. It was weird that a big company like that would allow that, would have such an egregious mistake, but who knows? It's 2021 is wild. Well, I think that might be it for the night. As always, enjoyed talking Braves. I wouldn't, and that will make it a 4-0 ball game. Yeah, but always enjoy talking Braves. And hopefully the next time I'm talking to you, post game one, no, I'm talking about the song used being the cheating skin. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm sorry. I don't keep up with everything in social media. But yeah, next time I'll be talking to you guys is tomorrow night, and hopefully we'll be celebrating post game a game one victory. So I'll see you guys.